Hi everyone, welcome to another Musing On. Another episode where we're going to be looking at a year from the 90s, in this case 1993, and I'm going to be musing on album releases from that year. Usual format. I'll just do a quick overview of what the general public's sort of ecosystem was by looking at best-selling albums in the UK, and then similar sort of chart, I suppose, for the US. Just to give you some idea of the general music zeitgeist. Then I'll talk through some of the albums that came out that year that I listened to and are still favourites of mine. So a great way of capturing my new music zeitgeist, because they would all be recently released albums. And then we'll get on to a sort of breakdown, generally what was released that year, and we'll talk about stuff that I bought retrospectively that maybe also went on to be popular or I enjoyed. So in terms of what I was up to career-wise, very much a transition year for me. So some way through that year, about halfway or just over halfway through that year, I resigned from a firm I'd been working for since 1981, and it was a firm where I'd been sort of climbing my way up the slippery slope, starting off in production environment as a junior technician, then moving over to immunology for a couple of years, where I was a technician there. Also simultaneously, I was being sent to college one day a week by the firm. So I did 4 years of college between 81 into 85, I think it was. 81, 82, 83. Yeah, 85. 81 to 85, roundabout. My studies. Alongside, so we basically go off for a day a week and then one evening on our own time, and then the rest of the time we'd be working. At that point, as I was going to college, I was slowly moving through different departments. So, as I said, working in immunology, then ultimately ended up in quality control for a number of years as a technician and then a supervisor, and then went off, did like sideways promotion a bit later as doing my own thing, I suppose, working in an area called quality support, which was to do with process improvement mainly and customer complaints. And then at the end, the final 2 years from 91 to 93, I was the quality control manager. So when I left in 93, I was a quality control manager. And then I took about a month off to think what I was going to do next. And then I ended up temping, and I ended up at Radio Rentals in 93. At that point, I was working in the accounting department, doing start of day and end of day till reconciliation. So like phoning up showrooms and looking at computer printouts and trying to work out where the money'd gone. And then over the years, the 4 years that I was there, from 93 around to the better part of 97, I suppose, or halfway through 97, I worked in a number of places. I was a contract chaser in the mid-90s there, chasing up contracts, and then internal contracts, and then towards the end I worked in a support role on tills, providing support for tills and also for general problems with running software, and doing the odd special project to do with process improvement. So yeah, 90s is a pretty interesting time for me. There's several years of transitioning over from working in a lab-based role where I was using computers as an adjunct to more of a support-based role where I was sort of dabbling with computers all the time. And that period in Radio Rentals set me up nicely for doing account modification. So I was able to properly read a balance sheet and solve all sorts of account-related shenanigans. So yeah, interesting times. But 93 was my move from working at my first firm, albeit I'd been there for 12 years, and then moving over to another firm where I worked for 4 years at an accounts office. So, with that out of the way, I'll probably blend in other stories as we go along, but you can see while I've been jabbering away, what was there in the general music ecosystem at the time. Some of these albums, and this is the UK best-selling albums Wikipedia section, some of those albums were, rolled over from 92. Not so many greatest hits as we've maybe seen some years in the 90s. That's something I've been pointing out. But an interesting selection of albums. We had Britpop starting to really reach its height. And then we had, the grunge stuff still there. No doubt we'll talk about certain albums. So we've got top 10 selling albums of the year through sort of like a worldwide lens. Bodyguard, and again some of these may be overspills from previous year. Bodyguard, Breathless, Unplugged, Janet. Some gave all, the Chronic, Pocketful of Kryptonite, 10 by Pearl Jam, which had come out, that was released the previous year, wasn't it? 91. So still studying really well in 93. The Chase and Core by the Stone Temple Pilots, which I think I mentioned in the 92 episode. Best-selling albums of the year, so top 10 selling albums. Top 10 best albums of the year. So this is more based on like their position in various charts. So in some ways, I suppose this might be more like Critics' Choice, I suppose. So Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Wu-Tang Clan, Pearl Jam, this album came out this year. Counting Crows, August and Everything After, Bjork, Debut, Modern Life is Rubbish, Exile in Guyville, Suede and Sulvaki. So that was the second album by Slowdive. So yeah, you're definitely seeing, these ascendant grunge bands that are, I suppose you could say, sort of peaking to some degree. And then underneath that, you've got these Britpop bands coming through from 93 into, for me, the big year was 94. But certainly you've got the debut Suede albums out that this year. So let's go through, as always, I will just go through albums that I listened to at the time that gives you some idea of like the new music that I was listening to in terms of new albums from 93 that came out in 93. I bought in 93 and I still really like. And then we'll move on to pulling apart 93 in more detail, find out what I bought retrospectively and has become favourites. And then we'll finish it off with a look through cinema releases from that year to give us a bit more of a sort of popular culture perspective outside of music. So let's have a look. Gorgeous by 808 State. Loved 808 State at the time. I bought the previous album, XL 91, so I was really looking forward to this. I didn't do so well in the reviews, but yeah, it's a great album, this. And this one as well, like I think previous albums, they're using guest vocalists as well on some of the tracks. Or well-known guest vocalists. Yeah, 1 in 10 is an interesting remix of the UB40 track, actually. Okay, this album. So, Spilt Milk and another album I'm going to mention, probably one of my happiest memories ever. Had a bit of a listening party, I suppose you could call it, with a group of friends that were used to publish their own fanzine stroke gig guide, I suppose, called 5D. I think that's what it was called. So it featured sort of gig reviews and upcoming gigs and various other bits in it. And I was sitting one evening, I was around one of their parents' house, I think, when we were sitting out in the conservatory. It was like, I think 5 or 6 of us maybe. And one of the people there, I think quite a number of them had recently graduated from university, and at least one of them was filling in time, was working at somewhere like the Virgin Megastore, somewhere like that, and was getting a real good deal on new albums. And so they had Spilt Milk and the other album I'm going to mention in a moment, and we just sat there listening to these 2 albums, chatting about music. It was awesome. So it's nice when you get a collection of people that are just 100% into music, and it's great for me now. I'm surrounded by people who really appreciate music, so that's great. But yeah, that was a really special get together for me. That was totally someone invited me round, said, do you want to come round, have a nice beverage, non-alcoholic beverage, and just listen to a couple of newer albums. I think it was the same week that Republic came out. We actually did that. Then I went out and bought Jellyfish, awesome out. If you never listened to this album, I really recommend it. If you like, at the time it just sounded so like well-produced 70s. I could hear, although they don't sound like Queen, I could hear elements of Queen production in the music in there. Yeah. Beatles, Supertramp, yeah. There's elements of some of my favourite, 70s albums. Squeeze, Paul McCartney, fed through Jellyfish's 90s sensibility. So yeah, big favourite of mine. This one, I just bought on the strength of, I'm trying to think if I'd ever heard Creep or not. That came out the previous year, so probably I had, but they were getting a lot of publicity at the time, and it's one of those ones where I can remember I went down to the record stores in Brighton, so it would have been the HMV one further along the road towards Hove, and I think I've mentioned this sort of wall of CDs and cassettes, which I think 93 with CDs been a thing. But yeah, certainly wall of cassettes, wall of all the different releases. Top, I know it was as high as up as the top 70, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff in the downstairs part of the store. And this store was on about 4 or 5 levels, and each level was a different thing. So yeah, one level might be vinyl, another level might be soundtracks, that sort of thing. I think they had floor with videos on it at that point, and I just went in there and bought this album and then played it all the way home in the car and just carried on playing it over and over again. The track I really like on this is Anyone Can Play Guitar. There's something about that track. The other thing I found really interesting about the band is they had access to 3 guitarists, because Tom York plays guitar, Ed O'Brien plays guitar, and so does Johnny Greenwood. And on some of the tracks you really appreciate that sort of that indie wall of sound. But obviously stuff like Creep was huge. So I love this album. So this one, I probably more remember it from the video. I bought the video album. So they did this big thing about a video-only band, although they did release this. So I had the video version of this and just played it to death. Yeah. And I remember things like Three Little Pigs, Obey the Cow God. I think I had Obey the Cow God and Three Little Pigs on cassette single, probably. Yeah. They're probably the only sort of joke band I've ever been into. I've not really... I mean, I like... The cool stuff I like that Gua have done is when they do Gua do covers, they do some awesome covers. Like there was a cover of them for some show, I can't remember it, like a video where they did a cover of Carry On You Wayward Son, I think it is. So it's an excellent cover of that. But yeah, I'm not always big into the sort of comedy bands, but I do like this. For some reason, it just really appeals to my sense of humour at the time. Oh, they did a cover of Anarchy in the UK, didn't they? I forgot about that. Rock and Roll Pumpkin. Yeah, so the other one that belongs with Spilt Milk. So, yeah, we sat down, like I said, with that group of friends, listened to Spilt Milk and Republic around the time that this came out. Yeah, this to me was a real awesome album. Regret World, Ruined in a Day, Spooky. Yeah, couldn't get enough of it at the time. All of these, well, I say all of these, quite a number of these I subsequently now own on CD. I picked up over the years. Obviously now I can just stream them anytime on Spotify, any streaming service. But back then, all of these, bar this one, which I owned the video for, I owned on cassette, so I could play in the car. Oops. Yeah, this one. So you'll notice not many heavy albums that year that I listened to when they came out. That ties in a lot with, or there's a connection between this and in some ways an episode I did about 1996 where I talk about what happened at the end of 96 into 97. Also probably bring it up in the 97 episode where I'm talking about picking up Terrorizer and looking at the end of year list for 1996 and then using it to sort of get back into extreme music. But there was a period from, I suppose, the early 90s up to around 96, 97, where I was listening to more, I suppose, indie dance music, but still picking up the odd album, the odd heavy album. And so I really remember this, and I used to play this a lot when I was out walking on the forest. Sound of White Noise. I really like John Bush as a vocalist in here. Fits in real nice. And I'd previously known him from Armoured Saint, and the fact that there was talk in the early days of Metallica of him doing vocals for them really early on. So, yeah. He's really good on this album. I mean, the album's really cool, but yeah. I love this album. Oh, there's some... Yeah, this may be one that I don't have on CD, and I had on cassette, and I listened to a lot on streaming. Oh, yeah, this one. Remember turning on TV one night, and Manic Street Preachers were on some evening music show, not Top of the Pops, but another one playing live, and they played, where was it, Sleep Flower, which I think is the opening track, and I was just blown away. Just the way that James Dean Bradfield just riffs around. He's a master of riffology. Yeah, it's just like the way he just plays around in the song and his singing, and yeah. So, yeah, went out and got this album. Yeah, awesome album. And then, you know, years later, retrospectively bought Generation Terrorists and the Holy Bible. I did have because I always get confused. So this is the second one. Didn't buy the Holy Bible till later. And then, was it Everything Must Go? I think I bought that when it came out. Siamese Dream. Another awesome album from that year. Yeah, in addition to indie and dance, starting to check out more grunge stuff. And this has got some great tracks on it. In fact, I could put together a really cool Spotify playlist with just all the best tracks. Well, all the albums actually, but maybe not the best tracks would be a bit shorter playlist. And I was listening to this when I was out walking this morning, just before I recorded this episode, because I wanted to listen to Today and Disarm, that sort of stuff. So yeah, very cool. And then towards the end of the year, I bought this. So it's funny, I have this memory in my head of buying it one lunchtime when I was working at the new Radio Rentals. And I don't know why that is. I'm just trying to remember when this came out in July. Yeah, sometime in July, sometime in the middle of summer was when I switched jobs. But I do remember buying this when I first started there. This probably was one of few albums I bought in the second half of '93 because I just had so little money. Because the only problem was the wages were quite a bit lower initially. So, yeah. But my favourite on this, I think, is it Rear? Where's it gone? Rear View Mirror. Yeah. I got some bonus tracks as well. But I'd really got into the previous album as well, 10. And this, from May actually, so a bit early, Guilty Pleasure. I think I might pick this up a little later in the year, not sure. No, actually I did buy it at the time because, I was being a bit careful. I probably wouldn't have bought it necessarily if I didn't have much money. But I loved like What Is Love and Life and all those classics. Yeah, I was a bit of a sucker for the Eurodance stuff as well. Which would, where is it? See if it's got any names here that, Snap the Power, remember that? Culture Beat, oh yeah, all those ones, awesome. So let's take a sort of flick through here and just muse retrospectively. What did I miss at the time? What did I get into after the fact? What owing to that getting into after the fact became firm favourites. So I've never really listened to much Jesus Jonas or Belly, to be honest with you. I had a cassette single, I think, of one of those. I previously mentioned 808 State. I wasn't keeping up with Accept at the time. So this was the one where Udo came back, yeah. I don't even remember the last Accept album I'd listened to at that point. Yeah. Not sure. Oh, there's Earth 2. So that's an album that I didn't get into until 2000s, when I sort of went down a drone rabbit hole for quite a sizable number of years. There's the Jellyfish album I'd already mentioned. Oh, that's a good album actually, Where You've Been by Dinosaur Jr., but didn't get to listen to that until probably the 2020s, yeah. So there's going to probably be a number of bands here which I mentioned, which I got into in the late 90s, early 2000s, one of whom would be Anathema. So I didn't buy this album the year it came out. It was their debut album, but I bought it sometime in the late 90s. I'd started infilling their back catalogue for them. I can't remember probably the first album I bought in real time, for want of a better word, like when it came out, would have been Judgment by them. I came close to buying Alternative 4 when it came out, but I didn't for some reason. Wish I had. And then once I bought Judgment, I was so blown away that I just went out and bought all the other CDs and some of the EPs on CD. Under a Funeral Moon, what are we up to now? Third album by them. There's Pablo Honey. Oh, Ace of Base had Happy Nation out. Yeah, so lots of pop and Eurodance and stuff like that kicking around. That's the debut. This was huge. I didn't really get into them until the second album. I don't think I've ever owned this. I've only ever listened to it on Spotify. It's a Serial Killer soundtrack. Oh, Are You Gonna Go My Way? I forgot about that. Yeah, my friend used to play this all the time. People I used to work in the labs with. Yeah. Don't think I've ever owned it though. Oh, So Tough by Saint Etienne. Didn't really get into them until Tiger Bay. Wonder when that was. 94. I haven't done that episode yet, so yeah. We'll talk about them when we talk about 94. At the moment in the backgrounds on my own headphones, and you won't be able to hear this, I'm listening to Slow Dive, Suvalaki. Yeah. That's why I probably sound a bit mellow. They're my ultimate chill out band, basically. If I want to just get into like a timeless state of mind and just forget everything, forget all my woes and anything that's going on. Yeah, Slow Dive are great for that. Debut Suede album. I think it took me a little while to get into them. So they were definitely a retrospective buy. Super Judged by Monster Magnet. I didn't get into them until a lot later. I did listen to that album recently, but I can't remember. It's one of those ones where I don't think I've ever owned a copy on CD, because it would have been CD I would have bought it. Oh, The Infotainment Scam by The Fall. That was 93. Now, does that have... Yeah, it has that cover of Lost in Music. You should check that out if you've never listened to it. Yeah, check out there's a cover of Lost in Music. That's where I thought I recognised it. And I didn't listen to that till a lot later. Republic by New Order, I've already spoken about. Rid of Me by PJ Harvey. Yeah, awesome track. Yeah, awesome album. Yeah, but didn't listen to that until a lot later. With Fear I Kissed the Burning Sky, second album by At the Gates, and I didn't listen to them until way after Slaughter of the Soul came out. Modern Life is Rubbish, second album by Blur. Yeah, they were having quite a tough time at that point, and no doubt we'll talk about the album that came out after that, Park Life, in a future episode, funnily enough. Oh, that's where the more ABBA Gold. I think I'd spoken about ABBA Gold in the 92 episode. So this came out, and then the version I have is the one that collected together both of them. It's a double CD. Sound of White Noise was mentioned. The startup. No Use for a Name. I only discovered them because I got a free CD, like a compilation CD, when I subscribed to Terrorizer one year. It was a freebie for subscribing. It's pretty good. I mean, they're a good band. Yeah, good punk band. Oh, there we go. Souvlaki, second album. After Just for a Day. Pygmalion after that. Yeah. Well, fourth album by Tears for Fears. I'd sort of lost touch with him a little bit. I'd heard the first two albums, played the second album a lot, but didn't really keep up with them. I think there was quite a big gap, wasn't there, between the second album and the third album anyway. So it was easy to lose track. You know, this was big this year. A lot of friends played it, and I never really got into it. 14 songs by Paul Westerberg. Yeah, there we go. Gold Against the Soul. Individual Thought Patterns. I don't think I've listened to that much. Covenant by Morbid Angel. That was an early CD purchase for me, so I'm pretty sure I didn't buy it in 93. It's bought later on in the 90s. Ivan Loud. Oh, In On the Kill Taker came out that year. Fugazi, that's a good album. But I didn't listen to that until the 2000s. Listening to that was off the back of a... how did I discover that? That was... Kerrang! Magazine did a feature on various rock genres. And Fugazi, In On the Kill Taker, I think was on that list. Here we've got Debut by Bjork. It's another album which lots of friends played a lot, but because of that I think I never bothered buying it. Black Sunday by Cypress Hill. Yeah, that I think I heard a lot but never bought. I was trying to think of my most listened to album by them. Probably that one. Looking at the track listing. Siamese Dream. Outer Limits by Voivod. I wasn't really keeping up with them. Bloody Kisses by Typo Negative. I got into them around about... I haven't done have I recorded the 96 episode yet? No, I haven't. It's coming out after this one, actually, because I'm jumping around, going backwards and forwards. But, yeah, no doubt I'll talk about Typo Negative, because I didn't get into them until, actually 97, and the year after the album came out. So, Enemy of the Sun, something I bought many years after. Got a few Neurosis albums. Went on a bit of a Neurosis jag, should I say, as a result of hearing from Silver in Blood. So, did a little bit of backfilling with the band. Skydancer, what was that? Debut album by Dark Tranquillity. I've listened to some of their stuff. I really need to go down a Dark Tranquillity rabbit hole a bit more. Where are we? The Mind's Eye, that's the one I know. Oh, Carter. Yeah, they were good. I did see a band at the Shelley one time that were very much like Carter in the lineup. So there was a bit of a trend around the time Carter came up of having like two-member bands, one person on guitar and another person on drum machine. So let's just look at the members. So yeah, Jim Bob and Fruit Bat. Jim Bob vocals, guitar, Fruit Bat guitar, vocals, keyboards, programming. Yeah, and there are a few bands that sort of tried to emulate them a little bit with that lineup. Interesting factoid as well, I think, if you've got just a two-person band, it means you can play somewhere. There was some weird rule at the time in the UK which allowed you to play places without having the place having a music license, like a performance license, with just two pieces, just a two-piece band. So I think it got round playing certain gigs places as well. Yeah. You didn't have to have a performance, is it performance right society? I can remember the acronym, but yeah. Wildwood by Paul Weller. Another one where friends played this a lot, but I never bought. In Utero by Nirvana. Into the Labyrinth by Dead Can Dance. 6th album by then. Wow. I didn't listen to them until that compilation they did, and then just went crazy for their early stuff. And I think probably by the time I listened to them, I was already streaming music. That's how long it took me to get into them. So I just listened to everything on Spotify. Focus by Cynic. This is a classic, but I didn't listen to that till several years later. I think I'd mentioned before, the members of the band were actually helping out the guy from Death for a period of time when they were recording and touring. So, War of Words by Fight. Took me up to a while to even realise that, I completely didn't follow Rob Halford when he left Judas Priest until he had that band called Halford. And then through getting that album, going to see them live, I became more aware of the Fight stuff. I'd heard the name, but I just didn't listen to it. And this is good stuff. Yeah. Yep. Good stuff. Face the Heat, I don't think I had that. Laid by James. Very by the Pet Shop Boys. So that was that one with that weird orange dimply cover on it, if anybody remembers that. Icon by Paradise Lost. Another band like Anathema, My Dying Bride, that I got into a lot later. With them it was through the album 1 Second, and then once listening to that, another one where I backfilled. There were a lot of bands that I listened to their first albums to sort of towards the end of the 90s, and particularly with Paradise Lost. When I listened to them, I just switched jobs again, and my wages had gone up quite considerably. That's when I was doing a coding job for a while, doing account software coding. And so that was one band where I was able to sort of buy up their old CDs. There was a really good record store in Eastbourne. Not sure if it's still there. And bought lots of their older stuff from there. KSAD I have. I'd forgotten about that album. That's really good. That's got Territory on it. Yeah, so that came out before Roots. So that was the one between Arise and Roots. Yeah, I have all of these. It's a cool period in the band. Wolverine Blues. Didn't get into Entombed until, was it Ride Hard, Shoot Straight? Yeah, this one. From 97. Swerve Driver, wow. I don't listen to buy anything by them. Tinder Sticks, Lemonheads. Yeah, another band I've not really checked out that much. Angst by KMFDM. Well, every year's got to have a KMFDM album out, hasn't it? Heartwork by Carcass. Good album. Yeah, solid. I didn't get into them really until after they disbanded. And I can't remember what made me check them out. Yeah. first album by them I bought was Descanting the Insalubrious, I think it's called, and that was way after, like I said, that was recorded, and then I bought Heartwork. Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, I'd forgotten about that album. Well, I say forgotten. Forgotten that it was going to turn up here. I probably spoke about it in a previous episode, that's why I missed it. This was the one I think I ended up owning 2 copies of it by mistake. Because I got into Sarah McLachlan fairly late on in her career, sometime in the 2000s, bought this album, then went off on another side quest in music-wise, and then got sort of reintroduced to her work because my soon-to-be wife was big into Sarah McLachlan and realised what a cool album this was, and then completely forgot that I already owned it and bought a second copy. So yeah, Dark Medieval Times by Satyricon. Cool cover. Yeah. Didn't listen to that till years later, actually. Yeah, because as I've said, at this point I'm in a, UK indie rock, grunge stroke, dance music jag, so a lot of extreme music, just was completely blindsided by, and then towards the end of the year didn't have much money to spend on anything, so. Twin, probably missing loads of stuff here actually. Take As Needed for Pain by I Hate God. Okay. Drawing Down the Moon by Bearit. Came out that year. Oh, Dance of December Souls, was that their first album? Yeah, Catatonia. And that, Wayne's World 2, okay. What have we got? Anything here I want to talk about? Probably not. Right, quick scroll down the metal stuff, see if there's anything on that sort of thing that I forgot that I listened to. I don't think so, actually. I mean, quite a lot of this, retrospective stuff, I've already mentioned it, but nothing particularly that year. There was all that Iron Maiden stuff out as well. Oh, this came out, didn't it? Metalworks. I had that. Bought that. Also had the video that went with it. Yeah, because sometime, when did Rob Halford leave the band? That was pretty close, wasn't it? To when he left the band. Yeah, good old Tony McAlpine. I wasn't really keeping up with him. He's a great guitarist. 4th album by then. Oh yeah, forgot this. Turn Loose the Swans. Amazing album. I used to drift off to this on a Sunday afternoon regularly, but didn't buy it until sometime towards the end of the 90s, actually. When I sort of infilled my Dying Bride CDs about the same time as Paradise Lost, and then with Anathema it was a little bit later. Yeah. Pitch Shifter. I think they're playing London in December, actually. I'm trying to think of any of the bands here that I've mentioned I've seen live. Probably not. Thinking about it. Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned before, I've seen bands like Judas Priest live and Halford live, and but yeah. Okay, let's just get some reorientation here. So, highest grossing films. Right, Jurassic Park, The Bodyguard, The Fugitive, Indecent Proposal, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Sleepless in Seattle, Cliffhanger, A Few Good Men, Aladdin, Jungle Book. Do you know what? I think I may have seen some of these at the cinema, thinking about it. Yeah. It's quite possible. So that's in the UK, by the way, highest grossing films. So just looking at like number one films week by week, just a different view. Again, still the UK. Bodyguard, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Under Siege. Yeah. Falling Down. I remember a lot of these, seeing these, but I just can't remember. Cliffhanger. Maybe I was getting a lot of these out of... I had a friend who used to watch a lot of videos from the video library. I think, I'm not sure in 93 whether they were back from uni then. I think they were. Maybe we used to hang out and get videos out thinking about it. Yeah, actually that would be right. I think either I or they would get a video out and we'd watch it, from what I remember. We'd like meet up like every other week or something, I think. Okay, highest grossing films. In the US, this is Jurassic Park, The Fugitive, The Firm, Sleepless in Seattle, Mrs. Doubtfire, Indecent Proposal, In the Line of Fire. Yeah, I remember a lot of these. Groundhog Day, Falling Down. Indecent Proposal, Dragon, okay. Oh, Demolition Man. Night Before Christmas, wow. This is down for Wayne's World 2. Definitely saw that at the cinema. Yeah. Okay, so there we have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that muse through albums of 1990, what was it, 3? Yeah, 93, I'd forgotten. Oh dear. Yeah, 1993. And yeah, interesting to see old friends there. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I'll catch you in a future video.